What is going on, everybody? Casey here, Virginia Game Day, checking in with another episode of the podcast. This is the Holiday Spectacular, end of year special, whatever you want to call it, coming live from the living room. You got the poinsettia over here, Christmas fun all behind me. I wish you could see the other side where our beautiful Christmas tree is, but what are you going to do? You got our little painting up there, up here. If you're watching on YouTube. You can see we put a Christmas hat hanging above the painting for him as well. So lots going on. We go Christmas crazy. 2023 is almost over, making our way into 2024. It's been an awesome year in Wahoo Land, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to kind of go over some of the biggest stories from 2023. So we'll do that, like a kind of wrap up, top five storylines, whatever. My personal favorites. Then maybe we'll do something Christmas related. I don't know, maybe like a naughty nice list. I was thinking I printed out UVA's basketball team's stats here, and I can do a little naughty nice thing down that road. And then I mean, there's a lot of current news and stuff that we could talk about to finish up the show. So, one thing's for sure, this is going to be a little bit longer episode, but hey, sometimes I have shorter episodes, so this is good. If you want on a long car ride, want to talk, listen to someone talk about the Who's, here we are. It's it's going to be this episode. So, everyone, appreciate y'all that have listened all year. We had that Spotify Wrapped thing recently, and I posted some of it on Instagram. But yeah, I think like 50 people, the top like five podcasts or 50 people. So that's awesome. That's a lot more than you could ever. I mean, when you think about it, 50 people is a lot of people, and to be one of their top podcasts is it's an honor. And then you're the number one podcast for like I don't know how many it was, but 17 or something. It's an honor, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and definitely appreciate that. All right. So much has happened this year. Uh we a couple of national championships in tennis and diving, but the most impactful storylines usually come from like the bigger sports. So, and those are my favorite sports. So that's kind of how we went here, how I went when I was thinking up what the most important storylines were. So, the first one, and we can all agree here, was having Mike Hollins score two touchdowns. Well, just score in general. First of all, at the spring game, but then at the first home game, real official home game against JMU after the tragedy. Last year canceled the last couple games. This year, we start out on the road against Tennessee, and then we come home to play crosstown rival JMU, and Mike Hollins scores two touchdowns. Super special. Everything that he's gone through to persevere. I mean, the trauma that's associated with what happened, and then the trauma to actually have been part of it, and like, there's a lot of stuff that plays in there. There's probably guilt and there's a lot of things. He got shot. Like that is that's some heavy, heavy stuff to deal with. He's done a great job of kind of being a strong presence as a kind of the light leading out of that tragedy, and it's been not unnoticed. I mean, he won the Comeback Player of the Year award. I think a couple different like brands gave it to him, so it's not unnoticed, and it's certainly huge, huge news around here. And he had a good season as a back. A lot of big plays that he made. Mike Hollins and UVA are going to be. I think he's going to be remembered in the program forever, and the players that we lost in the tragedy, of course, will live on forever as well. So that was number one. Number two, Virginia baseball making the College World Series. So Virginia baseball team started out red hot. Red hot. They were like 14 wins in a row to start the season. Ended up winning 50 games. Jake Geloff was hitting a gajillion home runs. There was, you know, Kyle Teal. Everyone knew he was going to be the super high draft pick that he was. Uh, Transfer pitchers that came in doing their thing. Anthony Stefan getting the DH role kind of later on into the season and going to the moon. Ethan O'Donnell coming in to replace Chris Newell in center field and having a huge year. It was a really fun year at the Dish, and they won 50 games altogether. Finally, Virginia was able to, in my first time since moving here, able to host regionals and then super regionals. So that was like a really awesome part of it. I know we didn't, we went to the College World Series, didn't win it, but those home playoff games, those epic battles with ECU, it was like a 2-1 freaking pitchers duel. I remember it was so packed, and we were sitting out in the left field bleachers, and we didn't move the entire time. First pitch to the end of the game, didn't move the entire time, and they won, and it was awesome. Usually, you go to the baseball game, you're bouncing around, you're having hot dogs, you're talking to people, you're, getting up, getting a couple beers. Didn't move the entire time. It was that locked in. It was that good of a game, and it was just, playoff baseball, playoff atmosphere. And then they win the series, the Super Regional against Duke. It's always good beating Duke, and that sent them to the College World Series. And in the College World Series, listen, it's there's some nuance to that, like how it was all handled, but at the end of the day, we lost two one-run games and definitely had a chance to win those games. So this program is elite. No one's going to argue with that, and I'm sure that this year's team coming up is going to be fun to watch. A lot of guys are back, and you can. It's nice to say you can rely on UVA baseball to be a really good product that, that represent the school well. The town loves them. They are fun to watch. The games are great. You know, Inexpensive, awesome time. It's UVA baseball is the shit. UVA baseball is really dope. What else? What else? This might be a personal one, but Virginia basketball. This would be number three of my top five storylines of the year. Virginia basketball making it to the ACC tournament final. They didn't finish the season strong last year. They had a rough go of it. Let me pull up my phone. Somebody just dropped off Christmas cookies at the front door. So at the end of last season, it got a little dicey, right? Close wins against some really crummy ACC teams, and then losses. We got blown out by Boston College, lost a big one in North Carolina, and then come ACC tournament time, we had, we were regular season champs, which was an awesome moment. That, now that I'm thinking, that was a really good head. That was a really good uh storyline too. I remember being at that Louisville game when they got to cut the nets down and all that stuff, and they had the manager go up and cut it, and that was a really good storyline too. So let's just bunch these in together. Uh, so they had the bye, double bye, and then they play North Carolina in the quarters. They beat North Carolina. So I remember watching that game at home. They beat North Carolina. The score was 68-59. So nice, you know, solid win by the Hoos. Jaden Gardner had 17. Armand had 14. Reese had 15. And then we drove down and then watched them beat Clemson in the semis, and they blew the doors off Clemson. That was like what? There was like ton of UVA people down there. They had this brewery right outside the Coliseum where you're kind of everyone's kind of going back and forth, like pre-gaming at the brewery, going over to the stadium, the arena, and then it sets up this battle with Duke for the final, the ACC tournament final, and it was a pretty close game. We didn't win, but it was just a nice kind of ride to go on. And it's all about, these fan experiences are great when you have these kinds of things. And it was a really great fan experience. That's why it was a great storyline personally. And it kind of gave us some good momentum going into the tournament, which would, if we were going to talk about worst storylines, would be the NCAA tournament from last year. But we're not going to do that because this is a positive episode. All right. So that's out of the way. What else? What else? What else? Sticking with basketball, after the season, come June, everyone's leaving. Armand's not coming back. Jaden's gone. Kihei's finally gone. Caden Shedrick had that whole back and forth of playing, not playing during the season. He's gone. Poppy's gone. He's going to Santa Clara. So it's like this mass exodus of talent. Some expected, some not. And oh, Isaac Trout out, the red shirt. So it was a mass exodus of basketball players. There's like no one left. So to have number four headline here, to have Reese Beekman coming back, to announce that he's coming back, that was huge. And if you look at this season so far, UVA's 9-2. The knock is that Reese is in these big time games. Sometimes there's not the secondary scorers aren't doing what they need to do. It's only Reese that's carrying his weight. Uh, so if you didn't have Reese, it's like, where are you? So that is this team has been ranked already this year. Uh, number three defense in the league that, starts with Reese. Gonna be an NBA player, and to have him make the decision to come back and take another year in Charlottesville is huge. It's huge for this team. This is a good team. We're gonna make the tournament. We got ACC play coming up. We've had some good wins already this year. Beat Florida, West Virginia. Not to say West Virginia is a great win, but Power Five teams. Florida, West Virginia, Texas A&M. Some good wins there. And I think I'm forgetting one also, uh but yeah. So well, I know we got blown out twice, but when it's right, when it's going right, this is what you can be. The number five storyline. This is a recent one. Out of nowhere, UVA football knocks off a top 10 team on the road, North Carolina. And having it be North Carolina is that much sweeter as well. It was an interesting season this year, some ups and downs, and some more downs than ups. And this was like the the tent pole, the highlight of the year. I think it was their first top 10 win on the road ever. So for Tony Elliott, who's struggled, only got 6 wins in 2 years, I remember doing a podcast, I think, and it's like this is the proof of concept. And if you look in the transfer portal this year, we haven't lost a lot of guys. Like we haven't the guys that we've lost have been like dudes down the depth chart. We haven't lost a ton of talent. So I think that it says a lot. And we've gotten a lot of incoming talent. We're winning the transfer portal, you know, the scale. Out to in, like the in is definitely outweighed the guys that we've lost. So this was a huge part in that, in keeping guys here, staying at Virginia, wanting to be here, believing in the Coach Elliott program, and I believe in it. We had the Virginia Tech game was a nightmare. It was gloomy, it was shitty, all that. But we had some good uh games this year, and we lost some games that we shouldn't have, and a lot of wins left on the table. But this top 10 win against North Carolina was huge. It was huge for you can always go back to that and say, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it can be. And I'm sure it did wonders for having when you're going out and recruiting and selling the program. Let me pull up the box score just so I see. I think it's 30-27. And then the James Jackson interception at the end of the game. That was, oh man, what a game. We were watching it at my neighbor's house because it was on CW or something and we didn't get it. Yep. 30 to 31-27. South's oldest rivalry. And then the next week, so we were like 20-point underdogs in that North Carolina game. And the next week we were at Miami, also 20-point underdogs, and we freaking should have won that game. It went to overtime. And then you had that random Georgia Tech blowout loss, which is like up, down, like what? And then that weird Thursday night game against another number 11 team against Louisville. Should have won that game. That was when Paris Jones got hurt. Odd season, man. Odd season. But so those are the top five storylines from Virginia Game Day from Casey that that stuck out to me. UVA baseball going to the College World Series. UVA football beating number 10 North Carolina, getting that top 10 win. UVA basketball making it to the ACC tournament final. Reese coming back, and then Mike Hollins 2 touchdowns in the first football game since tragedy. I wanted to fit in UVA women's basketball somewhere, but there wasn't like one big headline that I would say like having all the local talent playing because that happened in 2023. But it's kind of it wasn't like a good headline. So, but I want to shout them out. They're 8-3. They just whooped up on Fordham. You got the local talent playing together. There's been some injuries lately, but Coach Mox has done such a good job of recruiting and buying in. They're such a deep team. Like they get minutes from like 1 through 11. Like it's crazy. And yeah, it's a bright future for Coach Mox and the UVA women's basketball team. All right. This is fun. This is the Christmas spectacular, the end of year podcast is going to be a tradition at Virginia Game Day for sure. I wish I had the Christmas tree in the background. I can smell it. There's my wife. Say hi. Pop on the screen. Pop your head in. Hi. All right. All right. So we're gonna go naughty or nice down the UVA basketball stat sheet, and we're gonna see where everyone stands. There's not gonna be a lot of naughty because I try and keep it positive, but if I do say naughty, it's meant in the nicest way. All right. Ryan Dunn, nice, of course. 9.1 points per game, 2.5 blocks, 2.5 steals, 6.5 boards, leading the team in rebounds, leading the team in a lot of stuff. As far as Ryan Dunn goes, huge impact. Home games, like he's got the crowd in the palm of his hand, man. Always. And you can't beat that. Love to see the shooting get a little bit better so he can become a little bit more of a threat um from the outside. And he's made some threes here and there, but it's been shooting 19%. Um and you know that he's gonna work on it and it's gonna be there. It's just they gotta start falling. But it's like lobs and stuff right now. Most exciting player in the league. Reese Beekman, nice, of course. Leading the team in scoring, 12.5 points, 2.5 steals, 5.5 assists. His 3-point shooting is also only 30%, but you saw against Memphis, he was he had a couple of them early on, jawing back and forth with the guards from Memphis. I think those numbers will go up towards the end of the year. All right. Tane Murray. I'm in the middle on Tane Murray. He's getting a lot of burn this year. 12 minutes a game. He's a high floor, low ceiling kind of guy. I feel like when he's getting a lot of pressure, like Memphis, I feel like Memphis ate him up a little bit, but he is going to run the offense, he's going to play tough defense, shooting 40% from three, averaging 2.5 points a game. I'm not going to say I don't like want Payne to get a ton more minutes. I would say if some of the other guys step up and can be counted on, then you might not need Tane as much. But here we go. Isaac McNeely, nice. Shooting 50% from three, 11.7 points per game, second on the team. He's been in a slump lately. So that's the only like naughty part I would say. He got shut down by Memphis. Northeastern. It wasn't pretty either, but it's all cyclical. These things will come around and he'll be knocking shots down left and right. Leon Bond, so much production whenever he gets onto the floor, especially offensively. Killer in the mid range. 16 minutes, 7 points per game, 3.5 rebounds. I think some of the defensive stuff is where his opportunity is for improvement. And, maybe some of those minutes that Tainer getting could go to Leon once he gets more experience and can be counted on. Blake Buchanan started out red hot this year and had that big game against Florida, and it's been kind of I'd say pretty much kind of downhill since then, from a production standpoint. But you can see the talent, the raw ability, and it just comes with time. And uh, it's almost like what do I say? Like an incomplete almost for Blake Buchanan right now. Uh, Averaging 15 minutes per game, 4.5 points. Like to see him uh get his rebounding numbers up a little bit. We'll see. Dante Harris, another incomplete. We're really missing Dante Harris right now. Like outside of Reese, there's not a lot of confident ball handlers. Like you saw the pressure that Memphis put on our guards. Reese was the only guy you can really count on it. Rhodey got picked a couple times, one or two times. Um, when they put a ton of pressure on, you got to be strong with the ball. And it's Reese and Dante are the two guys that can do that. And with Dante out, it sucks. He misses defense as well. His experience, like, don't forget, 2 years at Georgetown already. Don't have a lot of big game experience. And we definitely miss Dante. So, uh, incomplete, but when he's in the 5 games he did play, like, he had some good games there. Wow, another interception in the Steelers Bengals game. So Andrew Rohde, you know, he's had some good games. His shooting's been down. Uh, Percentage wise, he's only shooting 33% from the field, 29% from deep. Free throws are a mess. But he's a guy who's got a lot of runway. Like, it's only his second year playing college basketball. He's gonna be with the program, and you got to see him. You got to let him figure it out. He's aggressive. He tries to get a shot here and there. His defense has improved a ton since like early on, and I think there's a little bit shows of like the level he's playing at before to playing in the ACC and playing at this level. I think some of that shows, but I think that he'll get to the place that he needs to be. He works hard, he wants it, and coach trusts him. I mean, he's playing 28 minutes a game, so like he's gonna be getting minutes. So he's just gotta rise to the occasion, start making shots, and feeling more comfortable. Elijah Gertrude, kind of the opposite, came in after Dante went down, burned the red shirt. He's had some good moments. He's a long guard, a lot of hops, incomplete in terms of my grading. I would say, uh, but in the 5 games, 5.5 points. Just he's not confident yet. Not enough, not a lot of confidence there. Getting it's his first year, getting used to the game speed, getting used to having someone in your shorts all the time in big games. That'll come when ACC play happens. It'd be great to have Dante back, and Gertrude will get his moments, but it'd be great to have Dante back. Jordan Minor, I would say this would be like the one like naughty because getting a player of the year from a different conference, you're probably expecting him to get a lot of minutes, but he probably hasn't. Seems like he hasn't picked it up, whether it be defensively or the offense. Sometimes when you see him out there, he looks a little bit lost. Got a lot of raw ability and size, and we need that. But he's only played 9 games, averaging 6 minutes. So there's something coach is seeing that it's 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 not there, and I want him to succeed. I really do, because I almost feel bad like when you have a guy who's the man comes in, he's not playing. That makes me feel bad for him, but uh, you know, it's a lot to pick up. It's a lot to pick up. I know they played zone at his previous school, and it's a big change. He's had been filled in a couple minutes here and there in big games. Like some of his minutes aren't just garbage time. He's had to come in a couple minutes here and there when foul trouble happens, and so he's going to get opportunities and he's going to get playing time. So hopefully he can keep picking it up, feel more comfortable, and make a difference. Jacob Groves, a big thumbs up for Groves. He's been way better than I thought he would be. I feel like he knocks down all the shots, those little pick and pops, sets a screen, bounces out. I feel like he's always knocking down those threes. He's been a decent finisher, and we'll see defensively. He's playing 20 minutes a game, averaging 8.5 points, only 2.5 boards. That's probably a little bit troublesome. We probably need to get his numbers up because rebounding's been an issue here with the Who's. But I would say, you know, pleasant surprise from Groves. Uh, so yeah, I mean, looking back at the whole thing here, I'd say Minor's the one guy where you're like probably less than what you were expecting, like in the off season. Uh, Rhodey for the minutes, maybe not the level of production you'd want to see, but I think that he's gonna come around. And listen, this is a good basketball team. A lot of we're young, like, and we've already had some big wins. Tony's teams get better as the years go, as the time goes on, as the months go on, and this team's going to be no different. The more you're used to playing, the more the game slows down, the more confident you get, all that stuff. It's going to happen. The 2 losses we had were ugly. We got blown out, but those are good teams that are, you know, a lot of college basketball experience with good coaching. So I wouldn't trip. We're gonna have one more game before we get to the ACC play. That's Morgan State on the 27th, I think. So it's gonna be a fun year. This is a good team. Is gonna be a tournament team, and hopefully we can make a run. No worries. And looking at the ACC, there's gonna be a chance for us to get some good wins. The ACC has some good teams. It'll be the last year before we have the new teams come in. And I looked on KenPom earlier. Out of the power conferences, the 6 power conferences in basketball, we're fifth. So last year we were the worst power conference. This year we're not quite the worst. So that's a step in the right direction. Maybe if some teams start playing well, we could jump somebody. Uh, what else? I had some other things, some other notes here. Virginia, we talked about the football team killing the transfer portal. 2 Virginia natives, receivers, have jumped on with Virginia, and that's awesome from an in-state perspective. Chris Tyree from Notre Dame, over 3,000 all-purpose yards, and then the kid Andre Green from North Carolina, former 4-star. They're seeing what Malik Washington did coming from Northwestern, and they're like, "That's a success story. That's like proof of concept. Come on, let's go." We got the Harvard tight end, offensive lineman from Central Florida. We do good in the portal. We need the experience. UVA baseball is no longer a Rawlings team. They're a Wilson team. I played for a while and I always had an A2000. I was always an A2000 guy. So to see UVA baseball switch from Rawlings to A2 to Wilson, hey, that's I love the A2000 gloves. Love A2000 gloves. Best in the best in the business. And what also comes with Wilson, like the package, is DeMarini, and this is before my time, after my time, I guess. Evo Shield, I don't know if those like the shin pads and the I don't know, but Evo Shield. I'm excited to see some Wilson orange and blue stuff. That's dope. I need to get me an orange and blue A2000 for the baseball I don't play. What else? Oh, Bronco Mendenhall is back in college football. That's the last note I had. New Mexico, head coach in New Mexico, and he brought a whole bunch of former UVA coaches and players over there. Evan Butts is, I think, involved with the scouting. Matt Johns, former quarterback at UVA, is the tight ends coach. So there's a lot of connections there, and happy to see Bronco back at it and back in the coaching game. So, guys, have a happy holiday and prosperous new year. It's a pleasure talking UVA with y'all, and ACC basketball is about to pick up, and whenever that happens, I usually get more, you know, on the mic more frequently after these big games. So you'll be hearing a lot from me, and I hope you enjoy the show. I appreciate you listening and watching, and go Who's. At Virginia Game Day on Instagram. I got the giveaway coming up, so I'm going to announce that on Christmas Eve. Uh, every year we do a giveaway of a package of clothes, books, whatever it is, autographs, and to one lucky winner. And this is the third year doing it. Love doing it. And yeah, so at Virginia Game Day on Instagram, Virginia Game Day podcast on all the major platforms. Have a happy holiday. Be safe. All that good stuff. Go Who's. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna turn the ship around. Don't let that Memphis game trip you all out. So go Who's. Thank you.